Now, I'm up on top of the car, and I'm showing you this is where they stitch welded this quarter panel on top of the original quarter panel and seamed it together and bondoed it in, right? Guys, you buy a car just because it looks nice and the bodywork looks pretty decent on it. Newsflash, you might have a mess underneath, okay? Bondo was on top of that, where it was rusted, Bondo. And so they just went right over the top of it. Here's the original lead seam where it seamed across the top, right? And in here it was all Bondo, right? But if you notice, I've taken every single spot weld out of this vehicle, right? To where I don't distort the metal that I intend to use on the inside, right? I'm gonna pause this for just, matter of fact, here's the spot weld tool. I'll pick it up and show you how it works, right? Now, this tool has a blade that spins at a pretty slow RPM. And it's variable speed. But it has an attachment to it. And I'll attempt to show you how that attachment goes on, right? Here is a trigger mechanism and an attachment that goes on to it. And the collar just slides on. And it has a trigger, so you pull it back and see if I can get it done. Latch that in. Now, you adjust the height with this red lever of how far you want that blade to pull back, right? And when you squeeze the trigger, you get this effect. And it squeezes out the weld, right? So, when doing that, if I wanted to take a spot weld out of something, I would lock in here, put that in there, and you notice the gauge height of that, the gauge of the metal. I can take this, put it down in that hole, trigger on, and squeeze as hard as I can, and it's still not going to take any more metal out of it because I got it set for a depth. And once I get it set for that depth, and I get it out, notice I take it down to where you kind of see the rust right there, because that's where in between the seam where the original metal was. And when you get finished all those spot welds, when you get every single one of them out of there, in theory, sometimes you might take a putty knife, have to help you along the way. But in theory, if you get all of those welds out of there and you get them out of there correctly, right, you should be able to just grab this quarter panel out the seam here and then lift it, shake it, and voila. Look at that, folks. Look at that. Every weld, every spot weld, gone. Smooth across there. No burrs, nothing, right? Picks that quarter panel right up, takes it off from the factory welds, and you can install it back on there with ease. It knows where it goes because, hey, you didn't beat on it, chisel it, grind it to get it off of there. You cut every single weld off, right? But know this, you don't know what you got till you take it down, right? Look at that floor. I have a brand new floor here. I'm gonna put a brand new floor in, not an issue. Now, the structure that I showed you, the structure I'm about to show you, is the reason this car won't fold up, but it's also the reason I can take both quarter panels off without flexing the body at all, or doing what's better known in the automotive industry as tacoing the body, because there's no roof on this car. So it needs some sort of structure to hold it together while you're taking the important structural parts of the car off, like the quarter panel or the trunk floor, or actually the even floor pan. Now, I'm just going to show you behind the A-post here. Let's see if I can zoom this in. Behind that A-post here, no, I can't zoom it. Behind that A-post, there's a couple of screws here, and those screws hold that plate on. Now I welded that plate in there so that the distance between here and all the way back to the end of the quarter structure will be tied together. So the opening of the door, the car cannot just collapse in the door seam because it has nothing to hold it but a floor pan, right? Most cars have roofs on them, so you don't have to do this, but you do have to put a piece between here and there, right? If you're taking everything off of it like that. But in this case, we're convertible. I needed a structure point here, which is tied directly to the seatbelt hole and the chassis of the car. A structure that's stopped here. There's 2 bolts there and 3 bolts. These 3 bolts right there are the bolts where the convertible top actually bolt to the car, right? And that's the whole frame structure for a convertible. This post right here is a structure. This actual piece here is inner structure. The piece across the back here is structure that keeps this car together when all its components are on it because it has no roof. Now, these angle structures here is just to keep it from twisting either way, right? And this cross beam here keeps those posts the perfect distance apart. The way I designed this and the way I did it, right, with this angle, with the angle piece here and this piece here, I can install the doors on this car and I don't have to remove any of that, right? So I just set it up to where it wouldn't be a lot of work for me when I got ready to put the body together or start working on the body, which I'm doing now, right? And I'm gonna get Money up here, and he's gonna film me removing the other quarter panel. It's a whole lot easier. It's original, never been beat up or distorted. So I'll get him up here and I'll show you how that's done. Right now, this tool that I got here don't buy a cheap one. This one here is a German tool. It's Werfmaster. They design or own the patent for it. It's a German-made spot weld removing tool. It's a great piece of equipment. Works perfect. Never had any problem out of it. And the shocking part of it, it's about $485 out the door for this tool, but it's a great tool. Makes this job so much easier. I can literally take this car apart one piece at a time with this tool. So let me climb back down, and I'll finish telling you about this quarter panel removal and installation.